have a foolproof method for controlling your slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will last for at least 300 years. The Negro slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry it on, and it will become self-refueling and self-generating for thousands of years. The black slave must be broken. That is, the breaking of one form of mental thinking to the next. You leave the body, you take the mind. There Willie Lynch stood, saying and reading these words to hundreds of white slave owners in 1712 from his letter to make a slave. Boy, did they take those words to heart. Research suggests that a majority of African Americans are unable to excel academically, economically, and socially because they suffer from what has been termed as post-traumatic slavery disorder, also called PTSD. Now, before you think I'm crazy, we must also acknowledge the fact that science has proven that trauma and memories can be passed down generationally through DNA for Jews, Native Americans, and other races. Now, the same concept can also hold true for slavery and African Americans. Some African Americans truly do suffer from post-traumatic slavery disorder, and this greatly affects their ability to advance in this country. This does us all a great disservice. For if we are to truly be the great country that we proclaim ourselves to be, then all of our citizens have to have the right to liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness for all. A kingdom cannot stand divided against itself. Wouldn't you agree? Harvard University psychologist Dr. Alvin Poussat wrote in his book, Lay My Burden Down, a culture of oppression, the byproduct of this nation's development, has taken a tremendous toll on the minds and the bodies of black people. We can see it too. Just go into your inner cities. Look at the condition of the environment and the people. Look at the rundown buildings and the tore up streets. Look at the lack of resources or health clinics or healthy grocery stores that aren't super expensive. Look at the lack of community centers and parks. Go stare at the lack of men and women employed. Look at that oppression directly in the face and understand that it is the byproduct of this nation working so fiercely to create a slave. Now, I know that we would all like to think that we have come a long way from slavery and that we are all on the same playing field and that every one of us has the same rights as everyone else. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that isn't the case. Author Tanner Colby wrote in an article for Slate magazine on the massive failure of the liberal on race that the Fair Housing Act of 1968 has failed to elevate black home ownership rates. And in fact, 6 out of 10 African Americans still live in segregated communities. That's unacceptable. This graph shows how, this graph is a survey that shows how our beliefs among blacks and whites, they differ when it comes to civil rights progress in our country. In 1963, when blacks and whites were asked if they thought that the problem of racial relations between the two races would always exist, in 1963, 26% of African Americans said that they thought it would, and 44% of whites said that they thought it would. In 2013, when the same survey was taken, 49% of African Americans felt like there'll always be a problem between the races. But you see, the number for white Americans decreased to 39%. So that shows how we think differently when it comes to the progress that civil rights and affirmative action have had on us as a country. Over here, we can also see the differences in income. In 1962, the median income for an African American family was $29,302. That number for whites in the same year was $49,492. Now, we would think that, as time increases, that number, that gap would change. But look here, in 2012, the median income for African Americans was $40,497, while the median income for white Americans was $65,880. You can also see the great gap in unemployment rates when it comes to the races. In 2013, 11.9% of African Americans were unemployed. In that same year, only 5.9% of white Americans were unemployed. As a country, we must begin to acknowledge and then own the fact that most African Americans suffer from a mental generational conditioning that directly stems from slavery in this country. A wound cannot be healed until you first acknowledge that there's a wound and then you do something about it. We like to sweep slavery and bigotry and discrimination under the rug in this country. African Americans are often told to get over it. It didn't affect you directly, or we all have the same rights as everyone else in this country. Why aren't these same words ever said to Jewish Holocaust descendants or to Native American descendants or any other culture? Why is the African American race the only people told to get over being captured, murdered, violated, brainwashed, ripped from your family, ripped from your country, being treated as a beast, property, cattle, subhuman for hundreds of years? Why are they the only ones told to get over it? How are they supposed to? Are they not human? Are they not people? Are they not American? New strategies must be implemented to encourage the cognitive, economic, and social development of the African American. As citizens, we must all work together to formulate plans that increase and build self-empowerment, self-perception, and self-worth among this race of people. Actively and passionately doing this will not only propel the African American race, but it will propel our country as a whole. And it will assist the United States in being the country that it was created to be. A united force that is the land of the free and the home of the brave. I thank you. My name is Keyana Hawthorne, and this was Task 2 for WGU's Effective Communications class. Thank you.